This is Nancy Norman with Weekly Wisdom, and I'm delighted to be with you this beautiful, beautiful day. Well, we've been talking about the power of the spoken word and how the spoken word has a creative essence about it. It is said that spoken words are cosmic and creative. There's a cosmic power with the spoken word. Catherine Ponder, in her book, The Dynamic Laws of Prayer, has some wonderful things to say about the spoken word that I want to share with you today. First of all, she says, I have found that you can literally blast your way out of limitation if you will but speak the word of truth and decree your good regardless of appearances. I want you to hear that. Regardless of appearances. She goes on to say, your words can dissolve obstacles and remove barriers. Affirmations seem to be the form of prayer that sets in motion the whole power of God. The power of the spoken word. Now, she goes on to say, to speak forth words of life, health, prosperity, success, happiness, and peace over and over releases an atomic vibration. You literally release atomic energy through spoken decrees of good. So when we speak, we are calling on that creative power. In the book of Job, Job 22, verse 28, it says, you shall decree a thing or speak. You shall decree a thing or speak the word. You shall decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. And light shall shine on your ways. In other words, when you use your words in a positive, uplifting way, what you speak will become a reality, and light, goodness will shine on your paths. What a powerful, powerful idea that is. Jesus used that law, that spiritual, universal spiritual law, throughout his whole ministry. He healed, he restored, he prospered. Remember when Lazarus, his friend, was dead and had been dead for 4 days or 3 days? And Jesus got to the home and said, Lazarus, come out. First of all, he said, dear Lord, I know you hear me, and you always hear me. Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus came out of the cave. So, as we continue speaking and decreeing the good that we want to experience in life, we are creating that good with the words we speak. Now, in my years of ministry, I've pretty much heard it all. But I want to just share with you some of the way people use their words. We have to be conscious about how we're using our words. Because what happens is, by the words we speak, we create laws for our lives. Here's one a woman said for years, and that is, every year around Christmas time, I get an awful cold. I mean, really an awful cold. And she did every single year until she realized what she was doing. She was creating a law for herself. Here's another one. In my chosen profession, one cannot make over $28,000 to $32,000 a year, and that person never did, because they created that law, they lived by that law, and they bought into it and spoke it over and over and over again. Here's another one that we hear frequently today. Well, you know, I live on a limited income. And this one lady that came to me and told me that, well, I live on a limited income. I finally said, who limited your income? Remember, God is our source. God is our infinite infinite, infinite source of supply. So if anyone is going to limit their income, it's not God, because our good is always there. So we create our lives by the words that we consistently and constantly use and speak. Decree a thing or speak the word, decree a thing, and it will become manifest. Now, this past week, I had lunch with a delightful college student, and her name is Jasula. At the age of 10, Jasula was living in Haiti with her mother when that terrible earthquake took place. And Jasula, she and her mother lost their dwelling. She lost friends. She lost her best friend. And Jasula and her mother wound up living in a tent out on the streets with barely enough to eat. Well, during that time, Jasula wasn't doing so well. And her mother decided to send her to the United States because her father was an American citizen. So Jasula arrived in Florida, not knowing the language, not knowing the culture, and she was lost. At 11 years old, she arrived, and Jasula was lost. She was miserable. She was bullied. She was made fun of. And nothing seemed to be working out for Jasula. She'd been through so much. One day, after a particularly miserable day at school, she came home heartbroken. And she ran into her home, ran into her bathroom, closed and locked the door, grabbed the sink, looked at herself in the mirror, and just burst out into tears. She cried and she cried and she cried. And she said that there was something that happened, and out of the corner of her eye, she caught something that it was like another life for Jasula, and she paid attention to that. She looked in the mirror and she cried out, "Enough is enough. I will not be a victim. Enough is enough, and I will not be a victim." You see, Jasula created another law for herself by simply saying, "Enough. I will not be a victim." She said it over and over and over again. And then she began writing down what she would really like her life to look like. She wrote, and along with absolutely claiming, "I will not be a victim." And then she wrote what she wanted her life to look like. Before too long, she was cutting out pictures and making a vision board. And she could see and feel what capabilities that dwelled within her. Remember, we live in a sea of pure positive potential. And Jasula got in touch with that feeling, got in touch with that understanding. Guess what? Enough is enough. I will not be a victim. And she wrote down exactly what she wanted in her life. The bullying stopped. The bullying stopped. She excelled in her school studies. She gained confidence. She became well known in her school. She had friends and participated in all the activities. In fact, she was the president of her junior and her senior class. She also was a part of the homecoming celebration. Not only was she active in her school affairs, but she was active in the affairs and the activities in Delray Beach, the city of Delray Beach. Well, let me just tell you that there were radio stations that began to hear her story, and she was on the radio talking about the bullying and the things that she had gone through and how she overcame them. She became quite a celebrity. Jasula is now attending Florida State University and has received a full Fulbright scholarship. She travels around the United States now. This is her second year at the university. She travels around the United States now as a featured speaker. She's happy. She's beautiful. She's a wonder. And she is a young 19-year-old woman that knows exactly what she wants in her life. Why? Because as a little 12-year-old girl, she looked into the bathroom mirror and created a new law for herself by decreeing, enough is enough. I will not be a victim. Enough is enough. I will not be a victim. And then, of course, she got busy deciding what she wanted in life, how she wanted her life to live. Well, she created a new law for herself. And you and I can do the same thing. That's the way it works. Decree a thing, and it will become manifest in your life, and light or goodness will shine on your path. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, said, there's a power for good in the universe, and you can use it. Jasula is using it, and you and I can use it. Enough is enough of what in your life? State it. And then state what you want to experience in life. Create a new law, a law that is dynamic, powerful, and wonderful, and do it with power and authority. Remember, Emma Curtis Hopkins, there's good for you, and you ought to have it. I believe it for myself, and I believe it and know it for you. God bless you, and have a wonderful week.